Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this position. It is white to move and win this game, so you can pause the video for a little while to try to figure out the answer. Now I know that two rooks versus a queen is usually a draw, but that only happens when the queen is able to give many multiple checks to the white king, leading to an eventual draw, because we cannot win this game. The queen will keep checking us. But in this exact position, it is actually winning for white, but only if we manage to find the right idea first, and then the right moves. So now let's talk about the best idea here. The best idea that we have to keep the queen on the final rank. Because if the queen stayed on the final rank, the queen is unable to give multiple checks to the white king, making sure that it's not going to end up in a draw. But we cannot do that right away. Like for example, if you played like rook to f7, for example, just blocking the queen, the queen cannot give any checks to the king. So probably can play some kind of check here. But then whenever we block like this, it's going to give checks like this. And once the queen moves away from the from the final rank, it's going to be a draw. The queen has to stay on this rank. And if we attack the queen like this, rook here, he can play this check, and after that, it is going to be a series of checks. It doesn't matter where we go with the king, black will continue to check us, and it's going to end up in a draw. So it's not rook to f7. Okay, now let's say, for example, rook to e7, you might be thinking of. For rook to e7, he does not have any checks, and that's good so far. But black has one move that's really annoying, and it is queen to g8. Queen to g8 is threatening to give us a check on c4, check on g4, check on g2, check on a2. So a lot of checks. And that's a problem, because we don't want the queen to move from the final rank. And we cannot do anything to stop it. I mean, a check here is not going to do much, just a free rooks right now. It's going to be a draw. Even if we move the king, for example, to f1 or to f2, he's still able to give us checks. And once the queen moves away from the final rank, it's going to be a draw. Okay. So the most important square for the black queen is to go to g8. That's why black will be able to draw this game. But do we have a move that's going to take that square away from the queen? Well, let's see. First of all, we start with the move rook to h7 check. King moves away. So far so good. You might have found this move, but then the idea here is to make sure that the queen cannot take that square on g8, and then we can go back rook to e7, and now we are blocking the queen from giving any possible check. No checks possible for black. And if the queen, for example, moved away, let's say the queen moved here to f6, then we have a check, and it's almost checkmate. He needs to sacrifice the queen, and it's going to be losing. That's why the queen cannot move away from the final rank unless it is a check. So if it moved away and it was a check, yes, black is drawing this. But now the queen moved and it's not a check. That means that white will be winning this. Okay, what if he went, for example, queen d8? What's going to happen here? You still believe this is a draw? Well, let's start with the move rook to g8. Sorry, rook to g7 check. It doesn't matter where the king goes. For example, if you went here, check, back, and then we use the other rook to give a check, king moves away, and then we give a check on h8, sacrificing this rook to take his queen. And he's forced to take it, and after this is obviously a winning endgame. Okay, so if the queen moved there, it's not going to be winning whatsoever because of the check. It doesn't matter where the queen goes. For example, queen c8, the exact same thing. You force the king there, and then you give a check to pick up the queen. Okay, so after the king moves, we played rook to e7. Now what? What if he did not move did not go with the queen to d8, c8, or a8? What if the queen went, for example, f4? We cannot give this check because then we lose the rook, and this is losing. But the queen moved from here, so it's not defending the square anymore, so we can play this check, the king cannot move, he's forced to block, and that's also losing for black. So this is the right idea. The right idea is to get the black king to take the square away from the queen, and then we can go back. Because in the previous variation that I showed you, the queen needed to go to g8 to give checks on many squares, on these four squares. But now, since the black king, so no, only this when the queen moves, that's going to be winning. But what if he went back with the king though? What if he went back with the queen to went back with the king to h8, and now he wants to put the queen on g8 to give us the exact same checks that we talked about. Well, now in this position, we play. In this position, we go rook b c7. Now you might say, well, what is this? We are allowing him to go to g8. Well, yes. When the queen went to g8, now it cannot go to c4 check, cannot give us any check on c4 because the rook is defending. That's why we played rook to c7. And once he moves here to g8, now we play king to f1. So we moved away from the second rank. That means there is no check here, there is no check here. Because if the queen managed to leave the final rank with a check, this is a draw. But once the queen is going to move without a check from the first rank, is not going to be winning for black, or a draw is going to be losing for him because of this, right? Okay, so after king to f1, the reason we play this because we want to evade the checks on a2 and g2. Now what? He can play this check on f8, which is the only check. Now we can safely block with the rook, and it doesn't really matter where the queen is going to go to. Like, for example, the queen goes here to e8. We do the exact same move as before, checks, and then check like this, we win the queen. And that's a winning endgame, right? It doesn't matter where the queen goes to. It is the exact same move with the checks and all. Okay, what if he moved the queen to g8? What's going to happen here? We cannot move the rooks, we cannot give any checks, and you still somehow believe that this cannot be won. Well, in this position, we have to put black in some kind of a zugzwang. He's forced to make a move with the queen that's going to cause him to lose the game. As you can see, the king cannot move. So all we have to do is to play king to f2. The most important thing, no checks possible for black. Okay, now black is forced to make a move. It doesn't matter where the move is, it has to be with the queen. Has to be with the queen. And if you went, for example, here to try to stop this check, well, there's a check on c8, he blocks, and that's obviously losing. Okay, what if he went, for example, queen to g4, stopping this check, but is actually not possible to stop this check. So black is also losing this game. So the right idea here is to take the square g8 from the queen, and then to keep the queen on the final rank, and then put the king in a square that's gonna allow us to have some kind of a tempo on black. He needs to be in a zugzwang and unable to move the king, forced to move the queen, and lose the game because of this very beautiful zugzwang puzzle. Hope you liked the video. See you again with another one.